Hi, Congressman.
Hey, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm good. I feel like my brain is fried, but otherwise I'm well. Good to have you back on the show.
Okay.
With regard to foreign affairs, I believe the House is still going to get that briefing tomorrow on the Iran strikes.
Yes, that's the plan.
I'd love to hear what some of your questions are.
Well, of course, I've already gotten opportunities to ask some of those questions. I'm honored to serve on the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence as well.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my questions, are going to be the same questions that can't be answered right now by anybody legitimately, because we don't have eyes on the strike sites in Iran, and until we can do a proper battle damage assessment, it is hard to know just how devastating the strikes were. But I think I would ask some other questions about what the national mood is in Iran now, or the rest of the country vis-a-vis the regime there. And there have been a couple of occasions in the not too distant future where the people had said they had had enough and looked to overthrow the theocratic dictatorship there. And I do wonder if there's a renewed effort in that regard, because Iran is unfortunately the world's state-sponsored leader of terrorism, and that's not going to change as long as this regime's in there. Now, maybe they don't have access to nuclear weapons, although the access to nuclear material can be also dangerous. But I think the world is very tired of the Houthi rebels. We're very tired of Hezbollah. We're very tired of Hamas. We're tired of Islamic Jihad. We are tired of the discord and violence that Iran sows around the globe. And the only way that that's going to change is if the Iranian people decide they don't want to be led by that any longer. And I'm interested to see and to know what their viewpoint is. And in that regard also, as a close neighbor, not an ally, but a neighbor, Israel, what their thought is about that and what actions they might be taking in that regard. Even though they have ceased kinetic activity, are there other activities that we're not seeing in that regard?
That is a really interesting issue. If the people have lost their faith in this regime, what it could mean for the future of Iran. You'd hate to see Iran become the next North Korea. I mean, it's halfway there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Iran has a long history, and there are great people there, and they are living under the boot of this theocratic dictator, and quite honestly, the rest of the world has suffered mightily. We lost thousands of service members in Iraq and Afghanistan to a thing called an explosive form penetrator, which is a type of IED, improvised explosive device, that were all constructed in Iran, or the materials and the know-how came from Iran. And it'd be some kind of solace to know that those lives weren't lost in vain if we can end that reign of terror that seeps out of Iran everywhere else. And of course it's expensive. It takes our mind and our attention off of other threats like China, and the rest of the world has to deal with this as well. So, but again, I support the president's decision where we don't want to be at a war in a war with Iran. And this is really the work of the people of Iran, but it would sure do a lot to make the rest of the world safe.
Indeed. And I believe it's still on the books that the administration is expected to have talks with Iran next week.
Yeah, that's my understanding. That's what's been announced. So I'm not sure what the tenor of that conversation is going to be. Might have to do with trade, or I can't imagine it won't have something to do with security. And I sure hope it will involve inspections of those sites to verify that their nuclear program is no longer has any capability. But then moving forward, that there's not going to be any effort to continue down that path, because if that's going to be Iran's position, we have obviously thwarted them for the time being, but we're not looking forward to going back there and having to do this over and over again every 10 or 15 years when they get closer and closer to a weapon.
Yeah, for sure. Congressman, you also interested in the future of Somaliland. How did you get involved in this issue?
Well, I'm on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and so we see the different countries and the activities in them, and that's just one of the many countries that are trying again to replicate freedom and some kind of democratic value. And so we want to make sure, as the beacon of those two things, the globe over, that they know that someone in America here supports their efforts and will be there to back them up. Because none of that's easy, right? And of course, they're in an area of the world and a part of the plant that is a tough neighborhood as well, and so it's hard to be for those things and be successful. And we want to make sure that we know that there is at least some level of support and recognition, acknowledgement of that, and so that's the purpose of it.
Wow, really interesting. And Congressman, on the reconciliation bill, I'm trying to remember. I think I saw it in the Hill earlier today that you were mad at the parliamentarian in the Senate.
Well, the parliamentarian is unelected, and that's that they have their process. But I sure don't understand why a new Republican Senate under Republican majority that hasn't been that way for some time keeps the umpire that was appointed by Harry Reid, and that's essentially what we're talking about. The parliamentarian in this case not only rules on the issues of parliamentary procedure, based on the rules of order in the House, but also on issues of policy in the bills. And we sent that bill over there with the best of intentions, based on the votes that the president got and the direction that the American people want to go. And she, as one person, has essentially just vetoed wide swaths of that policy. And it's very frustrating. We work very hard to get those things. We don't want to be paying for people to come here illegally and then avail themselves of our hard-earned tax dollars. And she doesn't see it that way, so you can't do it. And no one, like I said, no one elected her, but she's making these provisions in the bill, and it's going to make it very, very difficult for us to pass it.
Yeah. And the president's sticking hard to that July 4 deadline.
Yeah, and look, I know that it's important that we get things done in a timely manner here, but it's more important that we get them done correctly. I'd like to see it done. I'd like to see it done today. But as long as those kind of things are going to happen, where the parliamentarian takes all your work and rips it up and throws it on the floor, you almost feel like you're going to have to start over again. And so instead of marching forward to success here at this moment, I feel like we are heading in the wrong direction from a scheduling standpoint. And because she is unelected and because she was selected by and appointed by Harry Reid, who is a Democrat, I suspect she's not really too concerned about the president's concern and goal of trying to have it done soon. As a matter of fact, I think she might be working exactly in opposition to those things, and that's what's really, really frustrating.
Hi. Congressman Scott Perry, Republican of Pennsylvania, retired Army National Guard Brigadier General. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you. God bless you and your audience.
Thanks. You too. Take care.